Cheers! Welcome to Christmas. Oh my God. I just said welcome to Christmas.
You did. Welcome to Christmas. It's November 7th.
Cheers! Welcome to MovieBitches. Episode 231. So tonight we're reviewing Last Christmas. That's it.
That's all you get.
So, yes, it's November, but Merry Christmas. Well, who knows when this is coming out. I can't believe this movie came out, though, on November 8th. Like, what's happening? It's worse than Black Friday, you know? It's just like, you guys, you can't have a sale half the year and call it, like, that doesn't work.
Right?
That's just...
And there's all these sales that are like, forget Black Friday. We have a sale all of November. And I'm like, no!
I mean, I guess fine. Less traffic going to the mall. Although it's all online anyway now. I don't even know. Who cares? But yeah, so it's Christmas in our world, I guess. I don't know. It's Christmas every day because she works at a store that sells Christmas stuff all year round.
Called Yuletide?
Yuletide.
Did I miss something? That's what it said, right?
That is what it said.
The sign said Yuletide.
Maybe it was a D and it just had like ornamentalness that kind of made it seem like it was a B.
Okay.
But it definitely, we both separately each other.
Yuletide? I'm not sure. It was never addressed.
No. Last Christmas, the new Paul Feig, written, produced by Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
Well, so here's an interesting thing. I think I enjoyed this movie more than you. Well, I definitely know that I enjoyed this movie more than you did.
Yeah, that's true.
I enjoyed this movie more than I expected to based on the trailer.
Okay.
If you want to watch our trailer reaction, it's up there. This isn't a very good movie.
No.
But it's not garbage.
No. I was disappointed that it wasn't garbage, I suppose. I felt very similar to this movie as I did to A Simple Favor, which was Paul Feig's last movie, where I was like, all of the pieces are here, but it's not gelling. Something's wrong, like the cast isn't quite working, and the dialogue isn't coming out of their mouths right, and like the outfits are interesting but odd, and and the tone is there but confused and muddied. So like, yeah, if you squint, it's a Monet. You know, it was one of those for me where I was like, sure.
I fully get all of that. I guess for me, the writing surprised me in the end of like how much heart there was.
That was the most effective part.
It certainly put me in the holiday spirit.
Okay.
It made me want to like go volunteer and like donate food to like a homeless shelter and
its
like
heart was in the right place. It just wasn't there.
No, it did not click. It was not like, oh, this is it's not Love Actually.
It's not Love Actually.
It does not leave you being like, I want to watch this every Christmas for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I didn't think anyone was likable.
Not really. I felt like she grew on me.
Okay.
You know, they did it to the whole story of, so it's Emilia Clark from, you know, Eyebrows and...
From Me Before...
Me Before You fame.
You Before Me? Me Before You.
Me Before You.
Me Before You.
It was me before you. I met you. I don't know. I still don't know.
I still don't know.
Obviously from Game of Thrones. And then Henry Golding.
From Crazy Rich Asians. And Simple Favor. Remember, he was the husband.
That's right. He was the husband. Michelle Yeoh.
Best part of the movie.
Even despite the accent work that they forced upon her.
This is my little helper. I have nicknamed her Lazy the Elf because she appears never to work.
A lot of it's about immigrants.
Exactly.
And coming together and everyone being welcome into the country.
Right.
So I think
that's why.
It was there for that reason.
Yes.
Even though the movie didn't really express that.
No.
Not really. But she was my favorite part of the movie.
Absolutely.
She's always looking good.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Being sassy.
Great outfits.
Great outfits. She was the only person I liked.
Pretty much.
Everyone else was either mean or creepy.
Sure.
Mainly Henry Golding.
He was, well, it turns out he was creepy because, spoiler alert.
I mean, okay, so, spoiler alert. You might like this movie. It was perfectly fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of heart, which I think, for me, often I will forgive a lot of sins.
Sure.
I don't mind cheesiness. It's cheesy. But for me, I love a Christmas movie like that.
So if that is in any way interesting, go check it out.
Yeah.
But, major spoilers.
Yes.
Although, if you watched our trailer reaction,
guessed it.
We guessed the entire thing, and it's very stupid. And last Christmas, he gave her his heart, literally.
Yeah. She had a heart problem. She needed a transplant.
I really didn't think it was going to be that stupid.
It is.
Like, it can't be that. Like, we've made up this nonsense about how last Christmas I gave you my heart. And that's really what happened. I was surprised, I'll be honest.
A little bit.
At how dumb it was.
Yeah. So then he starts haunting her or whatever. This is weird. Okay. Mm-hmm. So a year ago, he got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Had a heart they...
Also, when he was in the hospital, he looked pretty much okay.
Well, whatever.
He was hit by a bus.
Sure.
Like, he had like a cut.
Maybe the bus mostly came to a stop, but then the bike, and he hit his... I don't know, Avaryl.
Sure. But, like, hit by a bus.
Well, they had to have him glamour shot still. I don't know. Anyway, here's my question. Okay.
Year ago, hit by a bus.
So, yeah. So we start off, and it's her like, oh my god, I'm such a fuck up. Right? And it was like, cut back to 9 months prior, she fried someone's fish in a water tank.
Yeah.
Before that, she set his thing on fire.
She's
boat.
a clumsy mess.
Right.
It was weird that, like, her being a selfish person, like, people, so she's basically homeless because she doesn't want to live with her parents anymore, so she keeps on couch surfing at her friends' houses. Right. But because of her clumsiness, like, she sets a blow dryer into the fish tank and kills her friend's fish. Like, that was the last straw, I guess, that he kicked her out.
Right.
It wasn't her horribly selfish behavior or her self-destructive personality or any of that.
That was what was so weird to me, was that they kept being like, oh, she's so selfish. Oh, this and that. But really, the problems that they kept complaining about were all just, like, weird, clumsy accidents. Like, she was the most accident-prone person I've ever seen in my entire life.
Pure luck up in here.
Right? Like, what is happening? So that was weird. But also, here's what I'm confused about.
Yeah.
If you had a heart transplant.
Yes.
2 months later,
yeah,
she was living with her friends on their couch, and then after all of that, they're like, look, bitch, you killed my fish accidentally, so you got to go?
Yeah, it was weird.
That's weird.
It was weird.
And cold. Well, you set my matchstick boat replica on fire because it's matches?
Get out of here, bitch. Live on the street, heart transplant girl.
3 months after you had hearts, I'm just confused.
I just feel like there's got to be a pretty long recovery time.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? But it had to be last Christmas because the song.
Because the song.
Couldn't be 3 Christmases ago, I gave you my heart.
They leaned in very heavily to George Michael music, and I was not really a fan of the leaning in.
She has one line about how I love George Michael because we were both underappreciated in our time, and we have great voices, which is debatable. For her, not George Michael. George Michael has an angelic voice.
'Tis the season to be jolly.
Oh boy.
But it did say, over the credits, it said, literally, like, it was like screenplay by or whatever, and it was like inspired by the song Last Christmas. And I was like, we're just telegraphing that he literally gave her the...
but yeah.
It was rough.
I mean, it was inspired by...
It was literally inspired.
What if?
Then you took it away.
The very next day, you gave it away.
I guess they just went for the first line.
This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. But he can't give it away again.
I mean, he can give his metaphorical heart.
I guess that's true. He inspired her to use his heart for good and to share love.
I had a lot of questions. Oh boy. So anyway, so yes, he's haunting her.
This movie's bad.
It's bad. You were really defending it, and I was like, I don't know. It's not good.
You know why? Because I left and I was
the ending is like, oh.
It's very sweet, and so.
But it's not good.
No, a lot of me when it's like that, I just want to leave and be like, well, that was sweet. I don't need to tear it apart. But like when you think about it, there was a lot that was a mess with this movie. A lot of nonsense.
So it starts, and it's 1999 Yugoslavia, and
she's singing a George Michael song in English.
In English, sure. In like it was like a Christmas service.
Yes.
It was like a choir in a church. They were singing George Michael in English in Yugoslavia in 1999. Whatever, you know what? I can get past it. So anyway, I really thought that was going to come into play more, that we were going to see more of young her. I don't feel like we had enough context Like, we started in the middle and never really found out what was going on with either of them.
Right.
But basically, they emigrated to England, and her parents are crazy. Like, all we ever hear is, like, Mom's crazy, and I never really saw it.
Never saw it.
I was like, sure, she seems over...
She's overbearing. She's a helicopter mom because her daughter had heart surgery 9 months ago.
Less than a year ago. Sure, she might be a little involved. But I was
she
just
might be concerned that her daughter that had heart surgery 9 months ago and didn't respond for days.
Would rather be homeless than live with her and did not answer 17 of her missed calls. You know, I feel like it was warranted.
A little bit.
So we didn't really get to know her before the surgery. So we're just like dropped into this mess of a person.
Mess of a person, and...
Because it's all this secret of like, oh, we can't, like, we have to have the reveal that then, oh, she had heart surgery and then he's actually a ghost and he gave her his heart last Christmas, literally. I really wish it was just called last Christmas. I gave you my heart. Literally. It's just like... It's very stupid.
It is.
What I'm saying.
It's very silly, at least, at the very least.
Yes, I mean, this is just copying a different movie, but like Return to Me, you've seen Return to Me, right?
I think so.
David Duchovny, Minnie Driver, and his wife dies, and Minnie Driver gets her heart, and then she like wants to thank him, but then they end up falling in love, and it's like cute, but
meant to be.
Yes.
But he has that line that's like, oh, you were gonna have my heart one way or another.
Okay, we have to get into that because I have some questions.
Okay.
But in Return to Me, you as an audience member know. You're in on it.
Right.
You're like, oh, ooh, it's a weird, like, that's a weird situation, and oh, how are they gonna do it, and oh, but they are really in love, and like, it's like this weird thing, and she's like, ooh, should I tell him? Ooh, whatever. So you're like in it with them, and you understand their motives, where this, you're just sort of like...
Also, he's a ghost.
Also, he's dead, so that's a problem.
And then they have this weird flashback where it's like, oh, and then she was talking to herself and doing this to herself and all of this stuff on her own.
Right.
And it's like a fucking crazy person.
It wasn't a clever Sixth Sense, like, oh, but it made sense that she looked up because of some other reason. Right. It was literally just as if she was remembering, like, oh yeah, remember when I was crazily talking to myself on that bench?
Right.
I'm going to look at it from an outsider's perspective and look at myself alone on a bench in a memory. And I was like, what's happening? So because of that secret of the twist that was not effective because I guessed it from the trailer, it was like, ooh, the whole time where you're like, and you don't want them to get together, me personally, because I'm like, A, you don't have chemistry, but also
he's a ghost. That was what was annoying too, was because it was just like, you were just waiting for the shoe to drop. You're like, we see this coming.
And they held out for so long. It's like the last 10 minutes.
And you're supposed to be like, what?
Oh my god, it was like that, what was that Will Smith movie where it's like, they were all figments of his imagination.
Collateral Beauty.
Beauty?
Yes. What? Oh, that movie was terrible. That movie was
was straight up terrible. This movie is fine.
Where they gaslit
him. Woo. Okay, so yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so here's an interesting thought. Like, what if, because I agree with you, like, it would have been nice to see, why did she fall apart? Why was she mess of a person? Was it just because she's been, I mean, I guess she had that conversation with him.
I would have loved that earlier.
Much earlier.
Maybe if she'd been going to therapy and he was her therapist in some way, but it ended up that he was a ghost.
Okay.
At least that's a device of like, there's a reason you're talking to him instead of, I'm not sure.
Yeah, like a magic Santa gives her a card for like, geez, lady, you need some help or whatever.
Yeah. Ding-a-ling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, oh my god, she trips and falls and lands, and there's a park bench or whatever that has the ad for, Henry Golding, doctor, whatever.
Therapist, ghost therapist.
Yeah, and then she shows up.
A therapist to ghosts?
Therapist to the dead?
Next week, boo knows.
Boo knows.
At least that would have been a reason, because I didn't understand their relationship either. I mean, again, he's a ghost, but she seems to be ready to jump anybody's bones. She's in a self-destructive cycle of drinking, going home with whoever she can spend a bed with, and sleeping with anybody.
Yeah.
And he walks in and is like, hey, sexy lady, and she's like, no, you're not my type. And I didn't understand that, because he's hot.
Yeah. But also, she seemed kind of to be attracted to him to begin with. So that seemed weird, where it was like...
there was no reason for her... They wanted to have this, like, love-hate, like, sassy...
Right, but then she can't be in love with him because He's a ghost.
So it's been revealed, he's dead, and a ghost haunting her, haunting his heart, I don't know. And she's like, well, why can I feel you and like see
Right.
you or whatever? And he's like, I'm a part of you. Like, okay. And then he's like, take care of my heart. And then he says, well, it was gonna be yours anyway.
Uh-huh.
No matter what, my heart was gonna end up with you, implying that there was supposed to be this fated meeting of, as if they had met previously or even had some sort of encounter
Right, I don't think they
before
had.
his death.
Right.
That's what I didn't understand. If we had known him before and her, and there was some sort of crossing of paths and fate, and they couldn't quite get together, and if they had gotten together, she would have died, so he needed to die to give her something needed to be more poetic about
Sure.
that, because I was
Sure.
like, what do you mean your heart was supposed to end up with her no matter what?
Well, right, because he only fell in love with her after.
He was dead.
Right, his heart was inside of her. Where's her heart?
Why did he just show up at Christmas?
It wasn't Christmas though.
Oh, right.
He showed up in early November.
Yeah.
And then
Much like the release of this film.
yeah, and then it was like, oh, now there's time for you to get your shit together in time for Christmas. What if like
Oh, yeah.
he couldn't move on unless she like redeemed herself by Christmas? He's like gonna be cursed forever to hell
He's
if
in
his heart
purgatory
is not.
because it's. I mean, that would open a real can of worms about donorship. And, they're like, oh, by the way, you have to like come back and make sure your organs were used for good use, or else you're gonna be in purgatory. Like, we're getting to a gray area here. But there was no ticking clock. There was no sense of time. There was no like, oh well, you know, he needed her to be a better. Like, was he a good person before? I mean, I guess he rode a bike.
We don't know who he was.
We have no idea.
When he was a person.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that he rode a bike, but we don't even know if he actually was a bike delivery person or if he just was riding a bike.
Yeah.
And that was his excuse to her as like his job.
I suppose he.
Is he now an angel and he's helping?
Well, see,
people?
but no one knew him at the homeless shelter. So I thought, oh,
Right.
is that his real job?
Right.
But then he died, but now he wants to keep helping the homeless shelter from beyond as an angel, so he's going to get her involved. But it didn't seem like,
No.
you know, I thought, oh, there's going to be a plaque at the homeless shelter.
Sure.
Like, oh,
Loving
dedicated,
memory.
loving memory of Tom.
Yeah, Tom Wellington or something.
Webster.
Webster. That's
It's
too
weird
tragic.
to have him be seducing her as a ghost.
He wasn't really seducing her though.
That's what was also weird, because I don't think this is a rom-com. Well, it's never certainly not a com, but
No.
like this wasn't romantic, but the trailer made it seem like it was.
Well, it kind of is. And that's what's weird. The movie
he's
is
like romancing his own heart. It's weird.
That is weird. That's weird. And that's the movie for 3/4 of the film is like, isn't this a lovely romance? They fell in love and he's teaching her how to be a better person.
Right.
But the whole time you're like, but he's a ghost and he gave her his heart.
Literally.
So what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, are you ready for this? He's a ghost and he gave her his heart. And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, I know. You told us the song. It was inspired by the
It's
song.
been sung every single scene.
Oh boy. Well, so the only thing that didn't happen that I thought was that. So I really thought that Michelle Yeoh was going to end up being his mother.
Sure.
And that he was hanging around because he wanted to be close to his mother. He was like, oh, why don't you do something nice for her because you're a bitch. I thought he was like going to be spreading the joy, like, oh, she can see me because she has my heart for magical reasons. And so I thought that was going to happen. And then that's why the mom kept not firing her.
Sure.
Because she's such a fuck up, and that she kept saying, I'll give you one more shot, one more shot, one more shot. And I kept thinking it was going to like come full circle and be like, oh, you have his heart, and now we're all kind of a family.
No.
It didn't happen.
No, and I don't know if I wanted that to happen,
Not
but
necessarily, but at least would have had a little more like.
we needed a
reasoning.
connection of like why. I mean, aside from it's his heart, why?
Yeah.
What? Oh.
Because like, why did Michelle Yeoh love Christmas so much? Like, there was no real.
Especially because then she was like, "Oh, my name's not actually Santa." When I worked at this store,
When I
was
worked at the
this
pet
thing.
store, I was Kitty. When I
Right.
worked at the bakery, I
I
was,
was
Muffin.
Right. So then you've been changing your personality, or you've just been changing your name because people couldn't pronounce it. But you've always loved Christmas, and then you finally opened your own Christmas all the time
They
store.
needed like a narrator or something. I'm not usually a proponent of this, but like someone to be like, and the Christmas winds blew in, you know, and whatever.
Sure.
Something to like tie it together to give it some kind of, this is why this is all happening now, or this is why.
A little bit. Or also, I would have just liked, I think if we saw more of her before, but then also had a little bit of like a revolving doors type situation.
Sliding doors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Where it's like, oh, you know, they just missed each other or whatever, but then, you know, because of this thing that weird happened, and, you know, blah, 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 then he got hit by the bike, and then they were meant to be together, and so now they're together, whatever it was.
It needs to be more tragically poetic. Remember when Patti LaBelle showed up in this movie?
No, I don't.
Oh, Patti LuPone, sorry. Not Patti LaBelle. Different Patti. Very different Patti. Remember when Patti LaBelle... No, you say it, damn it!
Do you remember when Patti LuPone showed up in this movie?
She's in it for a minute?
If.
I mean, it was one of the better scenes.
It really was.
She can't decide which baby Jesus to buy. Well, this one looks like he's having a really fun time, but this one's very handsome. I just don't know. Don't you just love working here? It's Christmas every day. I love it. You know, we needed more of that.
Yeah.
She seemed to be a good salesman.
Right.
But wasn't pursuing that. Also, can we talk about the singing?
Oh my god.
So the opening scene is young her in
Where was Patti LuPone to be singing?
Thank you. Why didn't she sing Last Christmas over the credits? Excuse me. Why didn't she show up at the fucking homeless shelter at the end?
Yes.
With two baby Jesuses, sang a song.
Love that.
Why else are we casting her in this movie in a barely a part?
She must have just been there and like she and Emma Thompson are friends. I don't know.
I don't know. So it starts and young Emilia Clark is singing and has a beautiful voice.
Beautiful voice.
Gorgeous voice. And you're like, oh, wow, this is really good. And she's emoting and it was like very beautiful. Yeah. And so then the journey is...
She can't sing anymore.
Well, it was so bizarre. So then they finally show her singing. She's trying to become a singer.
Right.
Her life is a mess. Sure. But does heart surgery and you being a mess make you have a very much worse voice?
No. That's what I don't understand.
I get like, oh, I'm out of practice. But then there was no montage of, well, I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to practice and I'm going to get better and I'm going to get my voice back.
I guess one could say that like the drinking and the bad behavior had led to the degradation of her voice.
Yes, but the movie like didn't address it.
No.
The movie was like, doesn't she still sound great?
And it's like, no.
No. Then just dub her, I guess.
Right? But then I guess if she was so good, then she would be...
No, because she's a mess. Oh, I showed up late. Oh my god, I can't get my life together. Oh, I was late. I was drunk at rehearsal. You know, that's fine.
Sure.
But make her have this angelic voice that only he can hear. That'd be good.
No.
So we didn't talk about, I guess, the weirdest part of the movie, which is saying a lot because
Look Up.
Well, no, that was weird though.
He kept being like, look up. Look up. Well, and okay, wait, this was weird. There was this weird theme of animals.
Yeah, so it'd be like, they first meet and he's like, oh,
looking
look,
up.
There's a pigeon up in this.
It wasn't a pigeon. It was like some type of hockey bird or something.
Okay,
but
well,
still.
look, there's a bird up in this rafters.
Yeah.
It's so weird to see a bird in the city. Okay, sure.
That kind of bird, he says. I think it was supposed to be like an eagle or whatever, but either way.
Stop and smell the roses. Like, that was the equivalent.
Sure.
But then every other...
And then it shits in her eye.
And then it shits in her eye. But then every other instance of look up, there's an animal, were like fake animals. It was like a sign or like remember when they look up and there's those rats, but they're just like...
Painted. It was like a
gargoyle
Banksy.
Rats?
Oh, kind of, yeah. They're like cemented, frescoed rats.
Yeah. It was just confusing and it was like, look up, oh, there's a sign with a grasshopper on it.
Oh.
And there was a theme throughout of that, of like, look.
Animals.
Now, and I didn't know what that meant.
It was never clear. I still don't know. What the fuck did the animals have to do anything? What was he telling her to look up at?
Well, and because, so at the end, he's taking her to this park, and she's sitting on this bench.
Park, there's a bench dedicated to him.
But the reveal is, you know, Tom Webster, 1980, whatever,
to 2016 or whatever.
And then it says, look up. Like, that was his... Catchphrase of sorts. Which is why we needed the context of his family. We needed them to be like, or her to find an article about him, or some context
about his life.
Because otherwise it's like he's just this weirdo who, all we know about him is he rides a bike.
Yep.
And he looks up at things.
Was he an angel sent to Earth in a human body so that he could be murdered to then give a heart to her?
No, oh my God, no, that is so much, Andrew.
I just don't know. It was so weird. It was so weird. Look up. Well, then it ends with her sitting on the bench, and she looks up, and then that's it.
To heaven? I'm not sure. It never became clear, and I don't know who he was.
No.
He was just this sort
Was
of...
he an immigrant? That would have been interesting. That would be interesting to see, like, if there's a lot of conversation about, like, immigration.
What is your home, and are you really, here? And there was a bunch of stuff about Emilia Clark's family having to escape from Yugoslavia, from the KGB, and all of that. And I thought all of that was really good, but just, like, not utilized properly. It was just sort of... half a joke or sort of there. I mean, the most effective scene was the scene on the bus where this asshole is like, go back to your country, speak English, blah, blah, whatever. And then she finally like embraces her cultural roots and it like starts speaking to them in the language and is like, oh my gosh, and like comes, and that was a really beautiful moment of like, oh, okay, she's coming back to herself.
Yes.
Okay. But it was just sort of scattered throughout.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Michelle Yeoh and her handsome fella?
This was weird. So this guy opens the doors. It's
as if he's an angel.
Yes, it was weird. The store is empty. It's very late at night. They're getting ready to leave. He opens the doors. Wacha! There's a weird music cue.
There's light behind him.
Yeah.
It is everything about the scene is telling me this person is an angel.
Right.
Or a ghost.
Or something.
Or something.
Yeah.
Or not of this world.
Right. Or he's coming in for a very weird specific reason to see her or whatever.
Well, so then he goes up to the counter and Michelle Yeoh and him just stare at each other as if what I thought was that they knew each other in some past life or something. Or that it was her ex-boyfriend and they were like, you're here.
I thought it was like, oh, this is the father of our dead son who died last year.
And we haven't spoken because we are so heartbroken.
Something.
I think it was supposed to be, this is funny and this is love at first sight.
Right.
And it was shot in a way that was so freaking bizarre.
I will say the worst part about this movie was the directing.
What happened to Paul Feig? What happened? I really don't know.
I'm starting to question whether or not he ever really had it.
Like, oh, the wheels are falling off this wagon. I don't know if they were ever tight. Then every time they meet, it's as if
time has stopped. It's like
it is like he's gonna sprout wings and start to be like, I'm Gabriel.
Right?
I don't know.
But then there's this whole weird thing about sauerkraut.
Yeah, it was bizarre. There was a lot in there.
Yeah.
It was like too much and nothing was developed.
No.
I forgot about the sauerkraut.
It was just so weird.
Oh, and I'll have to get used to the fact that his job is she said something like he's a master of sauerkraut.
Or like an expert in sauerkraut or something like that.
She's like, oh boy. And
what does that even
tell me about
mean?
it. Oh, well, because the theme was farmers markets will save your life. If you're a bad person, you eat fish and chips and you sit on the street and you're a gross, dirty person. But if your life is going well, farmers market, look at this. Oh, I'm
pressed juice,
I'm
juice.
Juicing, and it was like simultaneously like you should be healthy, but also fucking kale, man, right? It was weird. Why did you go eat some quinoa and kale? But no, you probably definitely should because you had heart surgery and like take care of your body. It was very bizarre.
It was really weird.
Do we think this movie, maybe work is the wrong word, like would be great, but do we think this movie would be much better with two leads that were different?
No.
Because some of the dialogue, I was like, oh, that coming out of someone else's mouth, I might have liked that.
Are elves always so cynical?
Yes, relentlessly. These are dark times.
I'm Tom.
Kate?
There were a lot of things where I was like, I noticed the writing.
Where I was like, oh, that's a funny line, but I'm not laughing.
That's what I'm saying. The worst part about this movie was the directing, and then I would say probably the casting.
Yeah.
They weren't terrible.
They weren't terrible, but they didn't have chemistry.
Not really.
And they didn't have that thing.
But were they supposed to have chemistry?
I mean, they like make out. He's like, my heart was supposed to be yours no matter what.
I guess that's true.
It had this air of like we were fated but it didn't have that tragedy of...
Right, like if it was like Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Yes, I probably would have liked it better.
Yeah.
If there was, there were often times where it would linger on him and I'd be like, what am I supposed to be getting from this face? And Am I supposed to feel something? Because it's just him going.
Well, he was a weirdo. Like, she kept making jokes like, ha ha, where are you gonna murder me? And it was like, but it, like, yeah.
Has anyone ever told you there's something slightly serial killery about you?
No, never more than once, anyway.
It wasn't romantic.
Not really. Even though he kept taking her to romantic things. Oh, I know all the hidden spots in London. Why? Did you know those as...
Before you were a ghost?
Because he biked everywhere or whatever? Or was it just that, like...
Yeah, we never know if this sort of angelic personality was him being a ghost, or if it was he was always this good of a person.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't really think they had a ton of chemistry, partly because of the actors, but also, were they supposed to, you know...
I mean, he always seemed like, no, we cannot fall in love, but he did despite it. But then also it's like, but you are a ghost.
Could they have fucked?
No.
But they made out.
But they made out. She could feel him. So could they have fucked? Should they have fucked? Could she have gotten pregnant with his ghost baby?
Yeah, and then he lives on, and Michelle Yeoh's like, my grandkid! Maybe?
Yes. I love, does she have the baby the next Christmas?
Yeah, he's born like baby Jesus. He's immaculately born, yes. And that one's called the Immaculate Collection, and it's all based on Madonna songs. Santa baby. Oh my god, it writes itself. Do we want to talk about the whole side plot with her outing her sister?
Yeah, well, okay, this was weird. Like, so, I mean, her sister's like an uber bitch to her, right?
Yes.
But then
I thought actually this sibling relationship was well developed. I saw where and why what was happening, that Emilia Clark is the fuck up and she could get away with everything, and she's the younger sister, and the older sister has had to been the one that's been responsible and take care of everything, and no matter what, she's never good enough, and the parents are always like, well, she can do whatever, but like, you need to keep working. I got the relationship, but yes, she was a bitch.
That was all there, but I don't think it was done well. I don't think it was developed well. I don't think it was played out well.
Sure.
Maybe if we'd seen them grow up together and we'd seen a little bit more of it happen.
And maybe we go through their childhood, and we go through Henry Golding's childhood,
right.
And it's just a tragedy that he has died, but we know him.
Yes.
And then at the end, she goes and knocks on his parents' door or whatever the fuck, and now let's all have Christmas. Oh, baby Jesus.
Sure. Oh, right. But yeah, no, but so then they're at this dinner table, whatever, and the sisters are fighting, and then she goes, well, how come your girlfriend's not here? And then she just fully outs her sister.
She outs her sister, the parents, but then it's like, oh, well, it was all fine.
I mean, yes, thank God, I guess, but like...
I mean, she was mad at her, but it was just like, oh, well, thanks for pushing me out the closet.
I guess, that's kind of
how it felt,
ended
and
up.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, they did a good job-ish of them being like, I don't want to talk to you,
Yeah.
You're dead to me, even though, oh God, that's... Yeah.
Then they're both ghosts.
Oh my God. But yeah, it was interesting, but not well handled.
No.
Kind of, that's the way that I would describe this movie.
Most of this movie. Huh. No. It was like that kombucha thing. Oh.
No.
No.
Well.
No. That's how I felt about this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty boring, and because it wasn't a total mess that I could be like,
right.
What's this? And because it wasn't good, it was in that middle ground of, that was almost good, so it made me mad.
And I kind of would rather watch a Hallmark movie, Christmas movie.
You know what you're gonna get.
Like, if I want a cheesy, feel-good Christmas movie, I'd rather watch a Hallmark one,
yes.
Or like a real Christmas movie.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh good, I know that I can watch, Love Actually or whatever, and I know exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna rewatch Return to Me, by the way, because I remember it being great, and also that Bonnie Hunt wrote it. Yeah.
I would not really recommend seeing it in theaters.
No.
I would say you could, like, stream it at some point, like next Christmas, I guess. Because
it's not going to be like, last Christmas.
This movie came out. It wasn't that good, so I waited a year. This year, I streamed it online. it still isn't something special.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there you go.
Cheers. Merry Christmas.